Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know this might be a wee bit different than usual on this channel, since I usually only upload really badly made creepypastas and let's plays, but this is something a little bit different, and I wanted to make this for a while since, you know, I really wanted to tell everyone that follows me on GameJolt why I am doing this. But if you do not know already, I am making a granny fan game called Granny's Freaky Friends. I will explain it in a couple of minutes, but like, basically, I wanted to upload a video since I don't feel like uploading a post on GameJolt would do it justice, and there are some people who follow me on YouTube that probably still don't have any clue that this exists. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing a granny fan game and want to see, like, you know, updates on the development of this granny fan game I'm going to be explaining, please go and follow my GameJolt, or either subscribe or join my Discord, as I will probably update every once in a while on all those platforms. Probably not YouTube, but mainly Discord and GameJolt, and even itch.io if I think, because by the time this video comes out I think I'll have my itch.io page up and ready. So yeah, so basically, if you don't know what Granny's Freaky Friends is, it's basically Five Nights at Freddy's, but DVloper? Yeah, that's basically it. Not really, but that's basically a good summary I could describe it as. If you know DVloper Ultimate Custom Night by Withered Salvage Aleks, or Slendrina's Freakish Friends by Buttery Stancakes, then it's really similar to that. It's mainly inspired by DVloper Ultimate Custom Night, so go and play both of those fan games if you're interested, since they're actually pretty decent games, especially Slendrina's Freakish Friends and Family Night. That is a really well made game, and it's not the main inspiration, it's mainly DVloper Ultimate Custom Night for particular reasons, that's for sure. So if you've never seen DVloper Ultimate Custom Night, it's basically a 2D game that looks like this. Now, I don't hate this game, I actually really like the gameplay. Now, you may be wondering why I got inspired from this, out of all things. It's because I was playing this game one day, just so you know, it's not 1.3, which, just so you know, Granny's Freaky Friends was never inspired by version 1.3, only the versions below it, since it kind of had a different atmosphere that I'm not really, I don't hate 1.3, it just, I feel like 1.3 just kind of lost a certain atmosphere I got from it back when version 1.2, 0.1, 0.0, etc. like, and all that was. I don't know, it had like kind of like that old era of the internet kind of vibe, if that makes sense, since it uses a lot of Sonic music for some reason, which I found was pretty funny. Now, you may be wondering if I'll ever make a let's play on either of these games, and the short answer is no. No, definitely not. I can't commentate over any kind of FNAF style game. It kind of makes me panic in a way, and it just prevents me from even commentating over it, so there's just no point. And plus, I've already played it and fully 100%ed DVloper Ultimate Custom Night 1.2. Now, if you've never played DVloper Ultimate Custom Night, it's basically Ultimate Custom Night for Five Nights at Freddy's, but DVloper. And it has over 15 characters to pick from, and with all their sets of challenges. When I played it for the first time, I was having a good laugh playing it, and I got the idea of, like, what if this game had more content? What if it had a story-based campaign? What happens if there was 50 characters per se? What happens if it didn't stick just to only Granny? What happens if it focused on Slenderman and every other thing based on it, like Baldi's Basics? Which, yes, Granny is inspired by Slenderman, since Slendrina. I don't really need to explain that, since if you already played DVloper's games, it's kind of obvious it's inspired by Slenderman. I don't know, I've always kind of like loved anything Slenderman related. It always had that kind of early internet charm to it. And that's basically what I'm using as a main inspiration point of why I'm making the game. Here's the kicker, I've actually been building the game on HaxeFlixel, which, if you haven't already known what that language is, it's a language that's used to make Friday Night Funkin', which is, I don't think it needs an explanation of what that is. If you know, you know. I'm not going to elaborate further. I'm just telling you what other games have been made with that engine. Now, I've actually built quite a lot of the game on HaxeFlixel, and it's actually been really easy to use. Mainly because I've already known the language for like multiple years, and I've gotten really used to the language really fast. But it wasn't perfect, that's for sure. Mainly the thing is, kind of 5 key issues with HaxeFlixel, and I'm going to elaborate them one by one here. Here are the 5 issues. Now, to non-developers, you may have like no idea what this means. When I mean by API is when you connect to platforms such as GameJolt or Discord. Now, Granny's Freaky Friends has support for Discord and GameJolt, although it's an absolute nightmare to work with. For the past like month before I moved engines, which I'll explain later on, I have been experiencing absolutely horrendous issues with GameJolt in particular. GameJolt is so unresponsive on this engine, it is absolutely baffling. An example of being is if you're connected to GameJolt, you can easily log in. That's not the main issue. The main issue is if you log out. For some reason, the engine can't really detect when you log out of GameJolt. If you want to like switch accounts, it's nearly impossible to do so. The only real way you can really log in by switching accounts when you're already being logged in prior is by closing the game after logging out and then logging in once the game is reopened. Now, I don't know about you, but like, this isn't that big of an issue, but it really is to me, because I kind of find it annoying at times. And not only is that, but Discord's also a nightmare to work with too. It's very unclear of like how Discord works with HaxeFlixel. I can easily get it working, I just don't really know how to utilize it effectively. But in Unity, I expect it to be like really easy, since everything I've experienced with APIs so far in Unity has been like really beginner friendly. And yeah, that's really what I mean by API, so it kinda sucks, but this is one of the factors of why I've changed to Unity and why I'm not using HaxeFlixel anymore. What I mean by this is HaxeFlixel doesn't have very easy access to use widescreen, unlike Unity, which is by default. It's much more pleasing to the eyes and it's kind of common sense, isn't it? I don't really need to elaborate further of why I've changed that and why this is a factor on here. If you like full screen, this is why I've changed to Unity. Well, this is pretty self-explanatory, but HaxeFlixel is not an editor. Everything is just text. There's no editor, there's nothing, it's just text. Now, I don't have a problem with this personally, I've actually gotten really used to it. But the main issue with this is that it's quite slow, if that makes sense, when you want to build your game. And when I want to test something that I've changed like the X or Y axis, which is basically the positioning of an object in game, and then wait for like, I'm not even joking when I'm saying this, like I'm not exaggerating, 2 to 5 minutes of just it building, and then I can open the game and test it. And if you've ever used Unity, you know it takes like honestly under a minute just to build the code. And when I mean build, it doesn't really build the game, it just like kind of builds a preview of the game, which is much more convenient. It just speeds up the progress of the game's development, obviously, since I'm not waiting for the game just to build every single time. There's also another thing where like, if I wanted to test out the positioning of an object, I would need to program in manually some movement input for that object just to move it around and print it into the command prompt just to see where the positioning is. But in Unity, all you can do is drag and drop. It takes like 2 seconds in Unity, which, yeah, it's actually that good. It's just that simple, which It's kind of shocking to me since I've been using HaxeFlixel for almost 2 years and I've gotten pretty much used to it. And the fact that you can just drag and drop in Unity is baffling to me. But it's actually really convenient for me since it's going to speed up the progress of the game so much. Now, again, you might not have any idea what I mean by this, but HaxeFlixel doesn't have a component system. You have to code in everything manually. For example, if you wanted to create a text, you would need to create a class and use that class as an object. But with Unity, you can attach multiple classes, which are actually scripts in Unity, to one singular object, which is so good, honestly. It's actually awesome to me, because when I have coded in a bunch of menu aspects, like for example, if I've already coded in a swappable class that lets you swap objects from left and right by pressing the arrow keys, swiping on the screen on your phone, or just moving the analog stick with your gamepad, it moves it for you, obviously. Now here's the kicker, I don't need to write any code if it's the same kind of object in Unity, because in HaxeFlixel you would need to code in each object manually if you wanted to add a new object in. But in Unity, again, it's just drag and drop. You go onto the right side of the screen and click add component. It's so convenient, it's honestly amazing. HaxeFlixel has a really bad audio issue. Now, to most players, if I release Granny's Freaky Friends on HaxeFlixel, I don't think most people would notice it, but it's an issue that I have a huge disliking to. It's one of the worst issues of them all. Enough rambling, I'm going to explain why this is the main reason why I moved to Unity. Please picture this, since you'll understand this perfectly. It's quite easy to understand. But basically, you're playing Granny's Freaky Friends, you're having a good time, I guess. More like you're having a really bad time. For some reason, if you ever needed to change the output of your audio, the engine would just self-destruct. What I mean by this is that when you change the output audio on a HaxeFlixel game, including Friday Night Funkin', which is really strange because I'm surprised they haven't fixed the issue themselves. For some reason, if you change the output, the audio just stops working. It just stops working. Even if you change it back to the audio device you were using at the very beginning of when you opened the game, it still doesn't work. And the only way to resolve this issue is by closing the game and opening it back up, which really sucks. I don't know why this is an issue. I don't know why HaxeFlixel has never fixed this issue. It's a terrible issue. It's awful. And I don't know why it exists. This is an issue I don't understand of why it exists and how it's not been fixed to this day. But nobody really seems to have noticed. I don't know, it could be me, where it only happens to me, but from what I can understand, any game that's made on HaxeFlixel, and if I change my output audio, the audio just stops working and I need to restart the game for it to work. It's baffling to me. And with Unity, that's not even an issue at all, which shouldn't be a reason of why to change engines, which is kind of strange, but it kind of is there and I can't really do much about it. It is what it is, of course. Now, with all that being said, I do have issues with Unity as well, but it isn't as moderately bad as HaxeFlixel. First of all, the animation editor is very unbeginner friendly. I have been having issues importing my Adobe Anime texture atlases, and I don't think there's any signs of support for Adobe Anime atlases. Like, I have checked all the depths of the internet for it, and from the looks of it, it just looks like I have to animate them myself, which kind of sucks. I have been learning a lot ever since I started using Unity. And I have been using Unity for like almost a month now, and it is a huge learning curve for me because I have never used Unity in my life. But it's not that hard if you're familiar with creating games in general. With all of that being said, I know what you're going to ask. Well, when's it coming out? And the main thing is I can't really say much about it since I don't know when it's going to come out. It's going to come out when it comes out, and development there is development going on, that's for sure, but remember this, I'm a university student and I've got a bunch of assignments to do while I'm making this in my free time. And this is free. This isn't a game that I'm going to be making for money. I'm not interested in money. It kind of sucks the magic out of making games, in my personal opinion. But when the game is in a state good enough, I will release a trailer on YouTube, and I will upload that on GameJolt as well. And if you're interested in following Granny's Freaky Friends, I have linked my GameJolt profile below, and maybe my itch.io if I got the time to set it up. Go and follow that. But remember, when Granny's Freaky Friends Chapter 1 comes out, there will only be 10 characters. But remember, I will release 10 characters with each major update until there's at least 5 chapters. And yes, the story will be cohesive and it will make sense, sort of. I want it to actually make sense and not like just shit happening for like no reason. So yeah, go follow my GameJolt, itch.io, maybe, and follow Granny's Freaky Friends, because when the game releases, I hope you guys will enjoy it as much as I am in developing it, since I've been having a blast making this game. I've actually been having a blast. It's been so much fun making this stupid game. And remember, this game is kind of a meme. It's not really taking itself seriously, and yeah, it doesn't really take itself seriously. So don't expect some epic, really badass game that's like so intense for like no reason. It's not one of those games. It's just it's kind of a parody, but not really. So go and follow Granny's Freaky Friends, and I will see you guys next time.